By all accounts, Melissa Caddick loved the good things in life, and splashing cash on them wasn't a problem. She was loaded. Melissa always looked $1 million in her designer clothes, travelled first class all the way, and called a stunning mansion home. She claimed her wealth was the result of her brilliance in business, and generously for her friends and family, she offered to share her financial secrets. The deal was simple. If they trusted her with their retirement savings, everyone would win. But it was a lie. 11 weeks ago, Melissa Caddick and $20 million that wasn't hers suddenly vanished. It's the afternoon of November 11 last year, but Remembrance Day 2020 is a day to forget for Melissa Caddick. The high-flying investor's life is crashing to earth. Federal police and investigators from the corporate watchdog ASIC are raiding her mansion overlooking Sydney Harbour. This video of the operation has never been seen before, and Melissa Caddick has never been seen since.
Did she go for a run? What happened to her? How did she get out of the house? Where did she go?
It's the mystery that's taken COVID off the front pages. The missing woman and the missing millions.
You asked me if it's a Ponzi scheme. Yes, it is. It has all the aspect and characteristic of a Ponzi scheme. Yes.
Tonight, unravelling an evil deception.
We were manipulated because it was Melissa who was our friend.
How Melissa Caddick duped her best friends and family out of their retirement savings.
Do you think she has a conscience?
No.
No.
We take you inside the police search for the missing mother.
It's still that trying to piece together everything, more unknowns and knowns.
And question the vital witnesses.
Anthony, have you tried to get in touch with Melissa at all?
What do you think happened to Melissa? Did her finances look fine to you?
And joining the hunt, 60 Minutes special investigator Gary Jubilin with his expert take on the curious case of Melissa Caddick.
Most likely is she's hiding in Sydney. It's quite often that it's best to hide in front of everyone where you're least expected.
Please leave your name and number and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you.
Evil woman. I hope you're watching, Melissa.
Do you think she is?
Yeah, for sure. She'll be watching.
What do you say to her?
Oh, Melissa. Can't wait to see you in a jail cell.
Melissa Caddick was rich and she wanted everyone to know about it. This is her opulent $6.2 million house at Dover Heights in Sydney's exclusive eastern suburbs, a 3-level mansion with sweeping views of the Harbour Bridge. She lived here with her second husband, Anthony Koletti, as well as her 15-year-old son from the previous marriage. The glamorous lifestyle didn't end here though. Melissa and Anthony also loved their high-powered sports cars, their annual pilgrimage to a ritzy chalet on the ski fields of Aspen, and perhaps more than anything else, Melissa loved to splurge on designer clothing.
Rockstar lifestyle, it was the best of everything. The beautiful cars, the artwork, the statues, it was just gorgeous. Gorgeous stuff.
It was obvious she was living that lavish life.
The high life.
Cheryl Kraft-Reid's family has known Melissa Caddick for more than 25 years and regularly heard about her financial prowess. So in 2015, Cheryl and her wife Faye decided maybe it was time to invest.
This is just everything we've already gone over.
At a meeting, Melissa delivered an elaborate sales pitch to dangle the carrot.
All you need to do is sign there.
She had a story, and the story was that she'd worked for another company, that her and 2 other people had built this program, and it was such an amazing program that one of the superannuation houses bought it out but her share of that money was $86 million, and she was not allowed to work in the industry for 10 years, which she didn't.
And the reason that she was coming back into the industry was only with her friends, because, you know, I've made a lot of money. I just want to help my friends out. And
Oh, so she was working for you out of the goodness of her
Yeah.
heart.
absolutely, yeah, that was one of her lines.
Yes.
And you know, I just deal with people I want to deal with, mainly friends, and you know, take care of them and give them a nice life too, sort of thing. Yeah, right.
Oh, well, her thing was, I like to help women to get them started. Oh, and I guess what, I happened to have 7 spots to bring some more people in. As people go, she'd bring somebody else in.
So she gave the idea of scarcity, effectively.
Yes,
I've only
she
got
did.
a couple of spots. If you're quick, if you're
That's
lucky,
correct.
you can invest with
Yeah.
me.
Michelle Leslie and her partner Billy McMore were given the same cell as dozens of other investors. And again, there was already trust in this relationship. After starting out as Melissa's personal trainer, Michelle had become close friends with the apparent finance whiz. Melissa even lending Michelle her prized possessions from her wardrobe.
Go to the big wardrobe, pick what I wanted, nice matching handbag, yep.
So that was the level of friendship, that she was like, come on in, whatever's mine in the wardrobe, you can borrow too.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was in there?
Wow.
Sounds like Aladdin's cave.
It was, yeah, it was. You name it, Chris and Dior, Chanel, gowns, all the shoes, photos taken of the shoes, all labelled in boxes, very organised. Amazing.
Melissa played the long game to win trust, turning friends into clients. Cheryl and Faye invested their super, more than $800,000 worth, while Michelle and Billy also handed over their hard-earned retirement savings. In all, Melissa had about 60 investors on the books of her business, which was called Malaver. In good faith, those clients transferred her more than $20 million. All seemed well until November last year, when Melissa suddenly disappeared.
So I was going to catch up with her Wednesday morning before ASICs raided the house and discuss what was going to happen for Christmas Day. And then that didn't happen. I received a text probably 6:30 a.m. in the morning, and sorry, can't catch up today, I'll get back to you. And then, I don't know, I felt like there was something wrong, and I sent another text, are you okay? Sent an email, and then still nothing. And I said to Billy, I said, something's going on, something's not right. And then we hear about it in the paper 6 days later that she's been missing.
We are asking the community to help bring Melissa home. That is all.
Melissa's husband Anthony and her brother Adam fronted the cameras outside Bondi Police Station, pleading for the public's help to find the missing mother.
Melissa, please let us know that you're safe and sound. We love you.
This is out of character. We just need the communities of Australia to come together to help bring her home.
Do you have any idea what happened to her at all?
It was like missing 6 days. Sinister sort of implications, and I think you grieved for her.
Yeah, I did.
Didn't suspect anything at that stage. You were just worried about your friend.
Worried about my friend, yeah.
In the days after Melissa vanished, her friends weren't even the slightest bit concerned about their money. But very quickly, that was about to change.
If I was made for this, why isn't it happening?
While Melissa Caddick was out there supposedly making millions, her younger second husband, Anthony Koletti, was trying to make it as a DJ, but not getting too far. This is a film clip he paid to produce and publish online. Melissa and Anthony's relationship intrigued their friends and family.
Maybe it was just good for her ego. He was the toy boy.
She was the money spinner. She was more dominant out of the relationship.
She wore the pants.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Definitely.
When Melissa went missing in November last year, Faye and Cheryl Kraft-Reid were worried about their friend's welfare and concerned for Anthony as well. But Anthony didn't tell them Melissa had been raided by fraud investigators in the hours before she vanished from their house. When investors learned about that through the media, they began checking their own accounts, only to receive a nasty surprise. Their portfolios didn't exist, and their superannuation had seemingly disappeared. So what happened when you called CommSec about these investments?
When I called them and told them the account number, they then said there was no such account number. And it's the first real point in time that I allowed myself to believe that everything Melissa had told us was a lie.
Cheryl's family has known Melissa for more than 25 years. Her sister Pamela is one of 4 siblings to have also trusted someone she thought was a friend to take care of her retirement savings.
Well, she came highly recommended, trusted. And that's what, that's really what you're looking for, somebody to trust and somebody that's going to be on your side, hopefully.
How much has your family lost, all up, the 4 siblings?
I would say in the region of 3 to 5 million. It's their future. It's what you work for 40 years to provide for yourself at the end.
It's a lot of overtime shifts.
Yes, it's a lot of dedication to ensuring that you are able to provide for yourself. We weren't born in Australia, so we have a really great appreciation for what Australia offers. My parents allowed us to get, decent educations. We all got good jobs and we all worked hard because that's the migrant thing.
The case brought against Melissa by the corporate watchdog ASIC went to a preliminary court hearing last month, despite her disappearance. Financial records make for heartbreaking reading for investors. They show that from the start of 2018 through to September last year, more than $20 million was deposited into her accounts, and she's since withdrawn all but $700,000. It's feared she used the investors' money to bankroll her luxury lifestyle, investigators detailing her wild spending. It included nearly $250,000 at Christian Dior, close to $200,000 at a jeweller, $50,000 at Chanel, and even $25,000 on protein shakes. Melissa had also spent a fortune on 25 overseas holidays in the last decade, usually with Anthony. They managed to blow $63,000 on just 2 trips to Fiji. Documents also show she used investment accounts to pay off her personal credit card bill, as well as make loan repayments on a penthouse apartment she'd bought for her parents.
What a level of entitlement, hey?
Yeah.
There was a level of entitlement, and yeah, you know what? She was probably just sitting there smiling at all of us.
Smiling because the joke, unfortunately, was on you.
Yeah.
But how do you stand there in front of someone and play a role, have a facade where you care, you're a friend, you're talking about each other's family, you're catching up, you're having personal conversations, relaying your personal things. It's not a business relationship. And how do you maintain that facade when all the while you're actually taking them to the cleaners? That's the bit that I struggle with.
The more investigators dig, the deeper the deception gets. It's now alleged Melissa was also operating with a fraudulent financial services licence. And interestingly, of the investments she did genuinely make in the share market, she managed to post a loss of more than $1 million.
There are a lot of accounts, there's a lot of movement, there's a lot of money. Where did it go? What was spent? What may have gone elsewhere?
Detective Inspector Gretchen Atkins is in charge of Task Force Cordillera, a New South Wales police operation to find Melissa Caddick. Is it pretty frustrating working on this?
Yes, very much so. It's 2.5 months, and every lead we've chased down, unfortunately, hasn't eventuated to what we would have liked, which is just to find her.
Police are now treating this footage of Melissa from the raid on her property as the last confirmed sighting of the runaway businesswoman. That's despite her husband Anthony claiming he saw her in bed later that evening, and her 15-year-old son saying he heard the front door click at 5:30 the following morning. Anthony told investigators he assumed his wife had gone for a walk in her activewear, despite leaving her phone, wallet and keys behind. He then waited a further 30 hours before reporting her disappearance to police. That 30-hour delay has really made your job 30 times harder, hasn't it?
Yes, that's it's just expanded our time window. Exponentially, and it's that extra time you have to piece together. It's hard enough with any missing person. You add an extra 30 hours. It's a lot of time.
When you're investigating a case like this, I mean, do you actually sit down with Anthony and say, you took a long time to report Melissa missing. Are you covering for her tracks? We need to know right now.
Yeah, we've had some pretty tough conversations with Anthony as to what's happened, which is where he's always been really, really helpful and given us anything that he possibly can. But not sure why. I think from him and from what he said was he thought she just might have gone somewhere and would come back. It was unusual, but that's what he said.
I think that 30 hours has something. The question I always ask myself is, why did it take 30 hours for her husband to report her missing? So the thing is that 30 hours to get where? By plane, by boat, by car?
A lot of yacht clubs near Dover Heights. Could she have possibly commandeered one there and sailed off into international waters?
It's also been part of our inquiries.
So you've actually been down to marinas and checked whether she'd come through?
We've been down to marinas.
You've been everywhere.
We've been everywhere, no stone unturned. So it really is, for us, just trying to work out where she is.
So just how easy is it for someone to vanish without a trace?
There's a lot of material, a lot of CCTV.
It's 81 days since Melissa Caddick disappeared without a trace. But still, a team of New South Wales police investigators is working around the clock to track her down.
Where else are we going this afternoon?
Have there been any sightings of Melissa?
We've had lots of information, lots of stuff's come from Crime Stoppers, and it's all over the country. All over the country, we've had people call in.
Detective Inspector Gretchen Atkins is heading up the search for the 49-year-old. She says there have been apparent sightings reported in Brisbane, Melbourne and even Darwin. But so far, it's led to nothing. From the outset, Melissa slipped the net. Unfortunately, when she disappeared, the security cameras on the front of her house were disabled because ASIC investigators had taken the hard drives for them during their raid. Still, police have been through hundreds of hours of CCTV footage from cameras mounted on other houses on this street. The nearest one in that direction doesn't show anyone matching Melissa's description, and it's the same that way as well. So if she left on foot, though, you would have seen her on one of those cameras?
Yeah, we do believe that if she'd gone on foot, she would have come up in a direction.
So it's safe to assume that someone's picked her up then?
Well, we all options open. All options open.
But if she hasn't left on foot...
We haven't seen her
cars are there,
on foot. Yes.
You'd have to think that she's gone in someone else's car.
So, which is just part of that whole, a lot on a big time frame, and it's still that trying to piece together everything, to snip it, to go, yeah, more unknowns than knowns.
A key line of inquiry in the missing persons investigation is Melissa's husband, Anthony Koletti, and whether he had any knowledge of his wife's plans. Detectives have spoken with him on a number of occasions, hoping he might unearth a clue that could solve this case.
Do you have any idea what happened to her at all?
Like I said, we just need the communities of Australia to help come together.
They convinced Anthony to make a public appeal for help.
Can you just take us through the night before when you were with her? Did you have a party at the home and then she went to bed, went for a run in the morning? Can you just piece together that bit?
There's nothing else that I can give you further.
Would you say Anthony's been proactive in the missing persons operation?
I'd say he's doing what he can to assist us when we ask for help. I think he's struggled to be what you would expect to be proactive. He's still trying to, I think, a little bit come to terms with what might have happened. Anything we've asked for, he'll give us, but yeah.
From that, I sort of gather that in a normal missing persons case, the family is out there. They're doing everything they can, really, yelling from the rooftops, trying to draw attention to this. Anthony perhaps hasn't fit the usual bill for you guys.
Yeah, he is probably slightly more restrained than that, especially with contacting us. He isn't always ringing us, which is different to what we would normally see. But it's a little bit different to what we would normally expect.
Since Melissa disappeared, Anthony has largely remained bunkered down inside their Dover Heights compound. Anthony, Tom Steinfort from 60 Minutes. Do you have any idea where Melissa might be? When we approached him, he didn't want to answer any questions. Anthony, she might be watching this. Is there a message you'd like to get across to Melissa? Court documents show Anthony now has just $1.95 in his bank account, and he's asked Melissa's investors, who've potentially lost everything, for a $5,000 monthly allowance to cover he and Melissa's son's living expenses. It must be difficult trying to interview Melissa's son.
Yes, he's 15, and speaking to a child about anything at the best of times, and something like this to ask about where your mother is even more distressing pretty much for anybody, let alone for a child.
I've had it suggested to me by a few people that he's been surprisingly calm about his mum's disappearance.
Yeah, he is, and I guess 15-year-old boys can be very different, but has been very, very calm, very honest, very upfront, but calm's probably the right word.
While their reactions might be unusual, there's no evidence to suggest that Melissa's husband or son have any knowledge of her whereabouts. Another person who has sparked some intrigue is Melissa's accountant, Nicholas Morales. ASIC investigators are intrigued why a high-flying investor in Sydney would engage the services of a small-time accountant in suburban Brisbane.
Nicholas, Marguerite Rossi from Channel 9 60 Minutes. I just want to quickly talk to you about Melissa Caddick, if I can. How did a Sydney businesswoman end up using a Brisbane suburban accountant?
Our producer approached him for comment, but he wasn't keen to share any insights on his dealings with Melissa.
What do you think happened to Melissa, Mr. Morales? What do you think happened to Melissa? Did her finances look fine to you?
We're sort of hoping that people, if somebody has seen her or spoken to her, that they might, just be able to be that little breakthrough. Somebody always knows something. Somebody always knows something.
The job for police is getting them to speak.
It's pretty much impossible for anyone to just vanish into thin air around this part.
Yeah, it's highly unlikely.
Morning comes, whispers in my ear.
Retired Detective Gary Jubelin knows the coastline near Melissa Caddick's mansion better than most.
And disappear.
He's investigated a number of high-profile deaths here.
Truth I fear.
He says Melissa's case boils down to three options: murder, she's on the run, or suicide. Gary believes it's very unlikely she's been murdered or taken her own life.
If you were to take your own life on this location, it's very unlikely that the body wouldn't be recovered. People don't realise how difficult it is to commit suicide and the body's not been found. And the mindset of someone committing suicide is not to make sure your body's not found. There's other things going through their mind. So in my experience, the majority, I'd say, of suicides, the body is recovered.
We are asking the community to help bring us.
Gary has turned his expert eye to this case that's stumped Sydney-siders all summer long.
There's nothing else that I can give you further.
It's a real mystery, isn't it? And it's a mystery that's certainly got my interest and the public's interest in it, because it's got all the twists and turns that fascinate people.
Is it much harder in 2020 than it was, say, in 1980 to do a runner and go into hiding?
Oh, I think so. Today's society, unless you've got a credit card linked to your name or a telephone number, it's very hard to get around. Gone are the days of walking around with a bag full of cash and just paying your way to keep under the radar. With CCTV footage and tracking that's capabilities from use of mobile phones and electronic data that you leave using credit cards and that, it makes it a lot more difficult to just disappear. It's going to be difficult for her to do that on her own.
So you think if she has gone into hiding somewhere, someone's helping her?
I would think so. It appears that she was aware that the allegations against her were building, so she had time to plan. I'm also mindful of the amount of money that's involved in the alleged crimes that were floating around, and money does buy opportunity, and there could have been a degree of planning.
I think it's pretty early on the right here. Yeah, there it is. So that's the house.
Okay. Well, if you came out that front door, it's fairly open, isn't it?
Gary's used to searching for clues, but also wary of tricks that sometimes throw investigators off the scent. He believes that while many would expect Melissa to try and run away as far as possible, she may well actually be hiding where she's least expected.
It's quite often that it's best to hide in front of everyone. It's easier to get lost in a big city than a small country town. Most likely she's hiding in Sydney, somewhere that she's familiar with, because that's the other thing that people on the run, they tend to go where they're comfortable with, an environment they're comfortable with. She's lived in Dover Heights for a great deal of time. She's not the type of person that would fit readily into a outback town or a small country town.
If Melissa has gone into hiding, strangely, COVID could actually be her best friend, because every time she wanted to go in public, she could wear a face mask. No one would bat an eyelid.
Yeah, I know. That's well, with today's COVID pandemic that we're all facing, and the fact that people get around in masks, it would work in your favour if you're trying to hide at this particular point in time, because you could put your face mask on. It's not going to draw attention to yourself, and you could walk down the main street of Sydney and no one would know who you are.
How hard is it for investigators when they're going after someone like Melissa Caddick?
Oh, it's very difficult. You would start with needle in a haystack type of situation here. Yeah.
That hard?
Yep.
Frank Montiel comes at this investigation from a different angle. He's an expert in following money trails, having spent his career working as a financial intelligence officer in Australia and for the United Nations. Is it hard to set up offshore accounts that can't be traced back to you?
It is not hard at all. You could go to a tax haven, go to the number of banks that are in Main Street and open an account and just give a number. And you could have even a debit card without an identification on it. You can take money out, and in the ATM it will mean you can't be identified. You can do this in Australia, by the way.
Frank says in his experience, people like Melissa almost always have an exit plan.
If she disappeared on the 12th of November, I don't think she thought about it on the 11th of November. I think it would have been a long time before, probably, it's hard to estimate, but a good 6-7 months or maybe a year before to plan this, yes.
Is it quite possible that they'll never find all this money again?
You know, in the 35, 40 years that I've been doing this business, we always look for a war chest or treasure chest. And the best that we can recover at times is only about 20% of what's been stolen.
That's the best case?
Yeah. 20% to 25% is the best case scenario of recovery, yeah. And often, it's not that the money's been kept and secured somewhere, it's just been spent in high living.
As much as that thought angers Melissa Caddick's victims, there's one more outrage they're being forced to confront. Melissa Caddick's life, in a way, has come full circle. After a run-of-the-mill childhood in suburban Sydney, she did whatever it took to live like the rich and famous, flaunting her wealth in fast cars, dripping in diamonds and designer clothing, and lapping up luxury holidays. Now, once again, she's tried to disappear into anonymity.
Somebody would always come unstuck because somebody may know something.
Detective Inspector Gretchen Atkins is heading up the search for the missing mother. Surprisingly, she revealed to us that Melissa actually wouldn't face arrest, even if police did manage to track her down. What happens if you did find Melissa?
Then our investigation's closed. She is still free, so there's no warrant for her arrest. We're only interested in finding her so she is no longer a missing person. She's not wanted by any court. She's not a fugitive, which is the word that people would use. She can go back, see her husband and her son.
So in theory, Melissa could walk into a police station in Brisbane, for instance, tomorrow and say, "Hi, I'm Melissa Caddick. I'm here, I'm alive, I'm well. See you later." And that's perfectly fine. She can walk as a free woman.
Yes, she can. She can.
The ASIC investigation into Melissa's alleged swindling of clients is due back in court in late February, where more is expected to be revealed about the money trail. Until then, dozens of hard-working investors like Cheryl and Faye are left with empty bank accounts and uncertain futures. I think one thing that's important to get clear is, some of the early coverage of this suggested, it was all these high flyers who'd lost their money. It's just honest workers. You guys are hardly millionaires.
No, far from it. And I worked my last couple of years working pretty hard to put away a little bit more so that I had a comfortable retirement. I wasn't relying on the government.
That was our hard-earned money that her that funded her lifestyle in a frivolous way, that I think the part for me is shows from her point of view a lack of respect for all the things that we had to do to earn that money.
Dirty, rotten scoundrel. It was hard to stomach. Probably not really the person I thought she was. Now, with as much that I know, yeah, hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
Michelle and Billy have had their lives turned upside down by Melissa Caddick. Having seemingly now lost all of their superannuation, they've decided they can no longer afford to live in Sydney and are going to start a new life near Taree on the New South Wales mid-north coast.
We thought this is a good time to, exit stage
Let's leave
left.
the catalyst. Melissa, the catalyst.
So she's given us an opportunity to reinvent our life. Michelle's just about to qualify as a kinesiologist, and we're going to look at, you're going to reinvent yourself there. And if I have to push a lawnmower around south of Taree on some of those big yards, we'll find something to do.
They've conceded there's next to no chance of ever seeing their money again, but that doesn't dim their desire to see their former friend tracked down and brought to justice.
What for you has been harder, that idea that you've been betrayed as a friend?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Not that's worse than losing the money.
Probably both. First of all, it was the betrayal. Just to go, oh my God, just the lies and the stories this lady spun. I wonder if she just did it to everybody like that. Must have.
With the full picture now, how do you describe her personality?
Oh, narcissist. Evil woman. I hope you're watching, Melissa.
Do you think she is?
Yeah, for sure. She'll be watching.
What do you say to her?
Oh, Melissa. Can't wait to see you in a jail cell.
As we said, New South Wales police are working on the case, are confident Melissa Caddick is alive. If you think you've seen her or might know her whereabouts, call Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000. Hello, I'm Tom Steinfort. Thanks for watching 60 Minutes Australia. Subscribe to our channel now for brand new stories and exclusive clips every week. And don't miss out on our extra minutes segments and full episodes of 60 Minutes on 9now.com.au, as well as the 9Now app.